Okay. All right. So welcome everybody to our monthly leadership call. It is always going to be, again, the first Thursday of every single month at 9:30 Eastern time. And so I'm really excited actually to, well, I don't know if excitement is what is coming from what I want to talk about tonight, but this is something I'm actually really passionate about. Those of you that were in Dallas when I trained, know I trained on this in Dallas when I talked about paradigms and paradigm shifts. So this is what I want to talk about tonight. Basically, really how we think and perceive the world around us really is a reflection of us. And when we can shift our perspective, sometimes we can look at something that is potentially, as we're seeing it, as negative, and shift it into a place of possibility and growth. And in that space, we can actually create a completely new dynamic with our team. And when we do that, it can drastically change our business. I see this across the board in our organizations right now, you guys. I see it where people are particularly negative, especially with a lot of changes, right? Those that resist change the most are seeing the most decline in their business. And those who embrace change and look at possibility and really look at it as growth are seeing the most growth right now. There is nobody that it has been, I mean, literally, I can't say, oh, it's this issue or blaming. There is nobody that can blame anybody right now for anything in their own business. This is a little tough because it's extreme ownership, but you. The only person as a business owner responsible for your business is you. Because how we are, who we are, what we bring in, how we build our business, where we build our business, the energy around our business, we are the only people responsible for. So I want you to really think about this. We think we see the world as it is, when in fact, we see the world as we are. So I'm going to share a video. I want you guys to really think about this for a minute. I'm going to share a video right now. I want you to think about this, and then we're going to talk about some skills to help us make these paradigm shifts. And when something is going difficult or negative or hard in our business, I'm going to teach you guys some skills tonight to work on that. Those of you that were on David Bird's training last night, those elites and above that were on the training last night, that heard the training on perspective analysis. I'm going to talk about that a little tonight too, for those of you who don't know what perspective analysis is, because that is also another tool. But utilizing multiple tools like this to really create a different dynamic and growth in your business and look at tools and empower your leaders can completely change your business. So let me see if I can, okay, it's there. Share this. Right, everyone see the video? Just thumbs up if I can see some nod. Okay, I got thumbs up. All right.
So much of what we do in our personal lives and at the office is the result. And what we do, in turn, affects the results we get.
Thanks for coming to the meeting today, everyone.
The word paradigm comes from the Greek root paradigma, meaning pattern, the pattern we expect to see, or the mental image of the way things are. We see everything through the perspective of our own paradigm. If you see your industry as one where growth is impossible, how does that affect what you do every day? And what results do you think you'll get from your actions? On the other hand, suppose you saw unlimited prospects for growth in your industry. How would that change your actions? What we see, our paradigms, determine what we do, which in turn determines what we get. And unless we consciously stand apart from and examine our paradigms, we might never see that perhaps many of them are distorted, short-sighted, or just flat out wrong.
絶対うまくいきます。あ、お願いします。
I remember a mini paradigm shift I experienced one Sunday morning on a subway in New York City. People were sitting very quietly, some reading, some resting with their eyes closed. Suddenly, a man and his children entered the subway car. The children ran yelling to the car, throwing things, grabbing people's newspapers. Their father sat down near me and closed his eyes and did nothing. I felt irritated. I could not believe he would let his children run wild like that. After a few minutes of patience and restraint, I turned to him and said, "Sir, your children are really disturbing a lot of people. I wonder if you could control them just a little more."
Yeah, you're right. I should do something. But we just came from the hospital where their mother died about an hour ago, and I guess they don't know how to handle it. Yes, I don't know how to handle it.
Can you imagine how I felt at that moment? My paradigm shifted. Suddenly I saw things differently. And because I saw differently, I thought differently. I felt differently. I acted differently. My irritation vanished. Compassion flowed freely. I wanted to help instead of criticizing and complaining. Once you see things as they really are, you'll think, feel, and act differently. And you'll do it automatically, spontaneously. Can you see why paradigms are deeper than attitudes and behavior? If you want to make minor changes in your life, work on your behavior. But if you want to make significant quantum breakthroughs, work on your paradigms.
Hang on. All right.
You need great marketing videos.
Sorry about that. Okay. Tried to stop it. Kept going. Okay. So I want you to really think about that. What we see determines what we do, determines what we get. So therefore, what we think controls our feelings, controls our actions. Stop right now and think about the past 2 weeks where we've gone through a back office changeover, where we've gone through some back order communication issues, where we've gone through some different things in different people's organizations that you may have found to be difficult. What did you find yourself, how did you find yourself perceiving that? How did you then feel about that? And then what actions did you follow? Were you in reaction to other people? Or were you proactive? Okay, this is really important because here's the thing. Fear and gratitude, or fear and anger and gratitude, either or, cannot exist in the same space. So if you are finding yourself angry or frustrated or fearful, then where are you missing gratitude for this opportunity that you have for growth? Because really, if we can take a problem and shift it into a possibility for growing into something new, which potentially could be the actual thing that you asked for, just showing up in a different way, the reason is because you've never experienced this before. So when we haven't experienced something before, we can't recognize it. So it's a problem until we learn to overcome it and grow from it. So a very, very, and truthfully, a problem is only a problem because you're defining it as wrong. So where are you looking at something saying this shouldn't be this way when ultimately it's exactly the way it needs to be in order for us to be where we need to go? Really think about this, because you can change this dialogue. You can change your thinking, and this will change how you communicate with your team. It will change how you grow your business, and it will change the people you bring into your business. Can I say that again? Oh, Lindsay, I don't know what when you typed that. Okay. Yeah, we are exactly where we need to be. I want you to look at every obstacle that you encounter as an opportunity to grow. When you look at different leaders in this company, in other companies that out in the world that you see, none of them, nobody got there without climbing a mountain first, probably cutting off their arms and legs on the way up and still figuring out how to get there. There is not one person on this call tonight that has not been a survivor through their life through multiple things. And that is because you took a problem and you overcame it to grow who you are. But if you have a negative perception of that and you pull into that quote victim mentality, there's two ways of seeing victim mentality, you guys. You could see that something bad happened to you and poor you, or you could actually say something bad happened to you, wear it as a badge of honor and say, I did this, I'm fine, I don't need help. There's two ways to take that too, which ultimately we can take everything into opportunities to grow and grow us into be better leaders, better moms, better friends, better sisters, better brothers, better people. Okay. So I want you to look at, get a piece of paper because this is really important. I want you to think of different triggers or negative things that you have happening right now. And it's this will help you right now if you just specifically look at your Q business, okay? So I want you to write a word that, like something that has a negative condensation for you. So for example, I wrote some examples here so that I wouldn't forget. So for example, every time your phone rings or every time you get a text message, and I'm making this up, so if your name is this, I'm super sorry. It's not, I'm not saying it to you, but say every time your phone rings and it's Sarah, okay? You get a pit in your stomach. I want you to write that there. Say back orders. Say the back office. Say auto ships, okay? So things right now that in your head have caused you stress in the past, whatever, in your business, write those down. 5 things, okay? Now I want you to write 5 feelings you have around that. So for example, for back orders, you could write right next to it, frustrated. You could write, for Sarah, you could write, she's always complaining, right? So whenever she calls, no matter what, she's always complaining. You can just write complaining. You don't need to write in detail. Just write whatever that thing is and write what is happening with it, okay? So back orders, frustrated. Sarah, complaining. So write that down for all 5 of your things. So 5 things, 5 feelings that come with that, right next to it. Just give yourself a second. You don't have to share these with anyone. I'm going to teach you. If I were you right now, I'd do the 5 things that you deal with the most too. Maybe it's even your kids, right? Something's happening with kids that's causing an issue. This is going to really, really help. Maybe bedtime's hard. It was hard here tonight, okay? So what I want you to do is, like I said before, fear and gratitude, or anger and gratitude, frustration and gratitude, they cannot exist in the same space. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these and we're going to try to turn what we perceive as a problem and shift it into an opportunity or a possibility, right? So very, 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 very simple things you can ask yourself. When something's really hard, you can say, what else is possible? You could also say, what is right about this I'm not seeing? See, what I just said is the problem is we see it as a problem, right? What if it's not a problem at all? What if it's exactly what you've been asking for? So what is right about this? Even in the worst case scenario, what is right about this you're not seeing? When you say that statement when something's really hard, you'll actually feel better, because a lot of us go into the wrongness of us. What did I do wrong? Why am I wrong? What could have I done better? Yes, we all want to grow. But sometimes it's, what did I do right? Where can I grow? Not what did I do wrong? Just say that statement in your head and you're going to feel it. You'll feel different, versus, oh. because ultimately we are all doing the best we can. We all know that sometimes we can do better, but the goal is that truly being able to accept people that absolutely, and this is going to be a hard one for some of you to digest, you guys, your team also is doing the best they can. So understanding that every person is ultimately doing the best they can, it's your perception that it's not good enough that is holding you back, but ultimately everyone is doing the best they can. Okay, so finding that space. So what else is possible? What is right about this I'm not seeing? And then how can it get any better than this? Now there's two ways you can use how can it get any better than this. When something's really, really bad happening, or our perception of bad, that we would rather have it a different way, you can say, how can it get any better than this? To try to go up, right? If it's really good, you can also say, how can it get any better than this? Because ultimately, a lot of us get to something that's better than we've ever experienced. And then in our head, we go to doomsday. We go, oh, well, it's so good. It's got to go bad now. Oh my gosh, I hit the biggest rank. I've never hit this before. Well, I'm going to decline next, because that's all we know. We know this roller coaster. And to get us out of this roller coaster, we have to shift to something new. And the easiest way to shift to something new, because the human brain can only create that what it already knows. And our natural human instinct is to keep us comfortable in what we already know. So to go outside of that, the only way to do that is to open up to the possibility that by asking a question. So how can it get any better than this? You don't know. You haven't experienced it yet. So how can it? I don't know. Ask the question. So you are going to write, you wrote the good and the bad right next to each other. So now we're going to work on tools to unwind this by using the space of gratitude. So I want you to go take Sarah, and she's complaining all the time. Now, you can write down, you're going to write as a statement of gratitude. I am grateful for Sarah. Oh, I'm so grateful. Sarah is so on top of her business and gives her customers great customer service, right? Because she's always calling you because this person didn't get this, or this customer didn't get this, or this person needs to return this, or this person needs help with this, right? She's always calling you about something, but it's because she really cares about taking care of her team, or taking care of her people, or she's really involved and she's paying attention to those numbers, or she's paying attention to her clients or her customers. You know what? Acknowledge her for the work she's doing. She's doing the best she can. So sometimes when we acknowledge the work that people are actually doing, even though it may be frustrating to us, we can take that edge off and we can say, you know what? Just find gratitude for whatever it is. Okay, she's complaining, but why is she complaining? What is it? Okay, I'm grateful Sarah is on top of her business and gives her customers great customer service. And guess what? When she calls me, because I know it's going to happen because she calls me 27 times a day. Remember, this is not a real person, okay? But we all have people on our team like this. We all do. And you can say, Sarah, you know what? I am so grateful that you are so on top of your business. You really do provide your team with such great customer service. How can I help you? Now you validated her. You recognized her. She feels heard. And you asked what she needed. You don't have to get all involved. Yes, I know this is happening and this is, you don't have to do anything. That's great. How can I help you? And let her answer. And you can say, you know what? I'm so sorry. That's completely out of my power or out of my control. I cannot do that for you right now. Is there anything else I can do for you? You don't need to engage. You don't need to keep, oh, yes, I know this happened to me too. Or doesn't matter. I understand. You can just say you understand. Maybe you don't understand. Validate them. And then, is there anything else I can do for you? And maybe you can. Maybe you can. Maybe they'll ask you for something. He's like, you know what? Absolutely. I can do that for you. I will take care of that right away. Is there anything else I can do for you? Now, I promise you, she's probably not going to keep coming at you in the same way because you've neutralized it. See, here's the thing, you guys. If you yourself, if you're on this call and you realize you're the one that's always complaining, or you're the one always reaching out, or you're the one that always has a problem, your upline or sponsor or sidelines or people, they're going to stop responding. You suddenly, it's like crying wolf. When there's always a problem, there's really no problem, right? So what happens though, if you really take care of things and you look things at what they really are and you ask for support or say, hey, I have an issue, can you help me with this? When there really is a problem, you're going to get a lot more support. So remember that. Okay. Ultimately, truly, everybody really does have good intentions. Everyone does. Just sometimes how they communicate that based on their own perception, based on their own stuff happening, is what holds you back. But then it's our job as leaders not to react. And by moving into gratitude, you can do that. Okay. So here's another one. This also can really transform your relationship with this person because it's going to build trust. When people feel heard and validated and that you're here to actually support them, you guys, I want everybody to take their hands like this and push really, really, really hard. What happens? Resistance. So if you're pushing and pushing and pushing, what happens? Push back. When you realize you're having a lot of resistance in your business, step back and think, am I pushing? Now I want you to take your left hand and make it really heavy. Put it in your right hand and just hold it with your right hand. Your left hand is completely heavy. Now take your right hand and raise your left hand up. What happens? See, when we support, that's what needs support, we can help raise up our team versus creating resistance and fighting against. We're here to recognize, meet people where they're at, and support them by raising them up. Remember that. This goes with recruiting too, by the way. When we really listen, we find where people are at and support them, we can create a different dynamic than constantly pushing. All right? So remember that. So here's another one. You're frustrated and back orders. Say you have those two together. Frustrated, back orders. All right. You know what? On your paper, you can write, I am so grateful our products are in such high demand that they sell out. I am grateful our corporate staff is working so diligently to secure vendors for our long-term success and growth as we become a billion-dollar company. Next time someone calls to you to complain about it, you can say, you know what, Joe? I totally understand. I am just so grateful. Our products are in such high demand. Do you know how much it would suck if they were just all sitting on the shelf and getting gross and expiring? Do you know where that money would come out of our pockets? Because they'd have to throw it out. I mean, gosh, I am just so grateful. Our corporate staff is just so ahead of this. They're securing the vendors. So as we grow to be this billion-dollar company, we'll have vendors that can keep up with our supply. What can I do for you? Okay. If we're prepared, you can have a different dynamic and conversation. This is why I told you to write 5. So now I want a little bit of your homework tonight is to sit down and write these out. So the next time someone calls you, first of all, you're not going to respond right away. The first thing you're going to do is take a breath, maybe a few breaths, write down the issue, write down the feeling, find gratitude for both, and then turn it into a statement to say back to them and ask, how can I help you? What can I do for you? Okay, this is something you can do for every single thing, and it does get easier. You will not eventually not have to write it down. Eventually you'll be able to flip it immediately, because everything in your life you'll be able to start to see as a possibility for growth, where you can have gratitude. The next time your kids are having a meltdown, legitimately, just hold them in love. Just say, God bless you, I love you. God bless you, I love you. See them as the teeniest sweet baby you've ever saw when you first saw them. You're not going to be as mad, and you're going to hold a different space. It's the same thing when people are coming at you like that. They're upset, they're frustrated. You're going to change that dynamic by shifting it into helping and supporting and creating possibility for your team. Is it always easy? No. But taking a pause and not getting into the back and forth and reaction. And here's a big one I see on our team, you guys, the need to have the last say and the need to win. You don't need to win. Winning means the team wins. Winning means everyone gets the support they want. It doesn't mean you have to have the last say. It doesn't mean you have to be right. It doesn't. Sometimes I just say, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about that. Is there anything else I can do for you? They could say 100 mean things to me. It doesn't hurt my feelings because it's not about me. So a lot of you do need to remember that. Okay. So staying proactive, doing these tools on top of it, and like just taking that moment to step aside and write this out will help you. Now, the other piece to this that I want you guys to, that I mentioned was the perspective analysis. So this is what they were talking about on the training last night. So if you were on the training, you kind of know, but you're going to draw a line down the page on your page. All you have to do is take a piece of paper and just draw a line straight down. And then you write your current reality. You write what's happening. Just write it out in that side, on the left side, what's happening. On the right side, you write what I can do. And you just start brain dumping every single thing you can do. Not that you want to do or that you don't want to do, but that you physically possibly can do. Some may not work out and some may, but you're going to write them all out there. And then you're going to step back and you're going to look. Because sometimes you guys get so wrapped up into what is happening and the feeling of it that you're not looking at what you can do. And some of the steps you can do could proactively, dramatically change your business. And you cannot argue with reality. When something is not in your hands and you cannot do anything about it, why waste energy and frustration on it? Focus on the things you can do, and action will change your business. There is nothing that can change our business, just like recruiting or anything else, except action. So we need to be taking those steps and be proactive with our team, be proactive with shifting a potentially negative situation into a possibility for growth, change the energy on it. And then also in focusing on what we can do. So that's always asked, what can I do for you? What can I do? Okay, because we can't argue with reality. And we're not going to argue with someone's perceptions. Just remember, you guys, I grew up in a house of 4 girls, and all 4 of us will tell you we grew up in a completely different house. Our perception of how we grew up are all completely different. That's normal. Okay? How we see reflects how we feel, reflects the actions we take. And you guys are the only people that control that. All right, so I am going to open it up to questions. If anyone wants to unmute and ask any questions, you can go ahead and do that right now if you want. Anyone? Look at the comments. Are we good here? No one has questions. You guys are awesome. Nothing? Okay. Wait, can you give an example of current reality and what I can do? Oh, so your current reality is your car got a flat tire. What can you do? Well, you can call AAA. You can get the spare out of the trunk and fix it yourself. You can call your husband. You can, and you would just list the options of what you can do. And then you're going to choose a few of those or one of those in that circumstance that you actually will do. So if I have I'm dealing with back orders, right? What can I do? I can reach out to my customers. I can send out a few samples to hold them over till it comes. I can reach out and check on people and see where their orders are at. I can follow up. Okay, so you write those things, and then you're going to do a few, and you're going to date them in the timeline that you're going to do them. You can't do them all at once. It's not physically possible. But you're going to focus on the things you can do. This is why I always ask, what can I do for you? Because ultimately, we can only focus on what's in our control Everything else we do have to surrender. For some of you control freaks, that's pretty hard, but ultimately we know it's only our job to show up. And remember, we're doing the best we can as everybody else is as well. Okay? If you allow everybody else grace in that too, and realize they truly are doing the best they can, it will also help you. All right, you guys, have a really good night. I will post this recording.